Hi Newt and Friends, this is Mushy here. Thank you for watching this video. If you're new to this channel, our names are Mushy and Newt. Newt is my best friend who lives several hundred miles away from me, and we created this YouTube channel to kind of see what each other is working on and the different art that we've created, and we also wanted to share it with the rest of you. We are aspiring to be full-time artists someday, and this channel is going to help us get there. Before Halloween, I decided to create a lot of different charms that revolved around Halloween themes. One of them that I wanted to do was a Coraline kawaii style charm. And I wanted to kind of make it my own. I didn't want it to look just like Coraline, plus that would have been very difficult to do because there's a lot of detail in Coraline. So I wanted to do a little kawaii charm. This was my first attempt at it, and I didn't love how it turned out, but this kind of helped me nail down the process. So as you can see, I created the face here and the hair, and I used little strips of blue clay to create the hair and make it kind of that almost string-like texture to it. But where I went wrong, and it was at the very beginning, is I made her nose way too big, and I should have fixed that. Not sure why I didn't fix it. It just didn't really go quite as the way I wanted it to. I did like how the eyes came out. So here I made the button eyes, and I thought those came out really well. Later on in the video, I create a second Coraline charm, which is the one that I actually really liked and ended up selling on my Etsy shop. But I do plan to create more of these and kind of nail down the process of making them, so maybe I can make made-to-order charms. But this one I am not selling because I did not like the way it turned out. I'll probably just keep it for myself and have it as my own little charm. The other thing I did wrong is I wanted to make her head bigger than her body, and in this one, the way I did it, it did not work out the way that I had hoped it to. And sometimes that happens with art. Sometimes you're going along, you have an idea in your head, you've even drawn it out. I drew this out beforehand, and you're just putting it together and it just does not come out the way you want it. So you learn from that, and then you make another one, and maybe another one, and another one, until you nail down what you really like. Because it's more than likely not going to come out perfect the first time. And if it does, that's awesome. But then try to repeat that, and then you run into some issues. But once I nail down the process for this, and every time it's consistently the way I want it to be, then I'll start selling it for made to order on Etsy. For this piece, I used Fimo and Sculpey Primo clay. I get that question a lot of what I use for materials. So for the clay, it's Fimo and Sculpey Primo. The Fimo is Fimo Soft usually. There might be a different kind, but I think most of it is the soft kind. I mainly use primary colors and just mix them together. So I'll use red and yellow and blue and mix them together. I do have a green because I feel like I have to use yellow a lot for different colors I want to make. So having the green already there is nice because I don't have to use so much of my yellow. And I did just get an orange because, again, I was having to use a lot of yellow. For the yellow of her coat, I just used the normal yellow color that I had. I think it worked really well for this piece. For her hair, I mixed a little black into the blue to make it a little darker because I think her hair is a little bit of a darker blue, and it's not like super bright blue, but it is very colorful. And then for the skin tone, I did make that myself, and I am so thankful I made a bunch of it because I didn't really mean to make a bunch of it, but because I had to keep working with it and making that color and adding more colors in, eventually it just became a big clump, but I'm glad it did because I can keep using that for as long as I have it with all different pieces. After I finished that Coraline piece, I decided I was going to make another Coraline piece, and also I wanted to make a candy corn mushling. I thought that would be really cute for the Halloween season, so I got my yellows, and I did make this orange that is in it, but I decided that after creating this orange, I wanted to buy my own orange so I didn't have to worry about using all my yellow. When I sculpt these pieces, I do go in between a lot from using my fingers and tools. I do want to get down a better system of doing it because I do feel like I get a lot of my fingerprints on it when I use my finger. I know a lot of people use like glass tops or some type of top of a bottle or something to put the piece on to sculpt it. And I want to start trying to do that because I feel like it would be a lot easier and cleaner process for doing clay. But I have not gotten to that yet. I have enjoyed the way I do it currently, so trying a new process is always difficult. And on the same day that I created the mushling and the new Coraline piece, which we'll show at the end of this video, I decided to make the broom that I got when Newt and I went to Salem. We went to a place called the Witchery and we picked out all the pieces to our brooms, and we didn't have time to make them that day or with each other, so on this day I was watching the movie The Craft and decided to make the broom while I watched it. It was a lot of fun putting it together. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. You just wrap the twine around the stick and then have it come out and then put all the pieces on and wrap the twine around it to keep it on the stick. But you have to make sure you wrap it really, really tight or else things are going to fall out. As for the movie The Craft, I had not seen it before. I didn't love it. I thought it would be a little bit more like Practical Magic, which I love Practical Magic, but The Craft was a bit darker and I didn't love that. It was a little creepy. And I like creepy things, but like when it gets super dark, it's not my favorite. I did end up adding a few things that I didn't get at the Witchery that I just had around the house. I had some extra eucalyptus from a wedding that I went to and had it dried out, and I had a feather that I had found that I wanted to put in it, and then I also had a little tiny potion bottle that I added to it because they did have potion bottles at the shop, but because I have so many at home, I decided it'd probably be best to save my money and just use one of my own. I also had a dried rose that was a purple color, and I also put that on the broom. bristles I got at the shop, and those were a little splash of color that came with the broom. You could pick out whatever color you wanted. There was green and blue and yellow and orange and red. I thought the orange would go well with it, especially with like the Halloween theme, and orange is also my favorite color. I really like the way it turned out. I didn't want to use all of the splashes of color in it because I think it only needed a little bit. I didn't want it to be too much. I wanted to look a little bit more natural, so I just put little pieces in throughout the broom. Once you added pieces on, you wrap the twine around it to keep it on there, and then once all those pieces were on, I had to tie it, just a regular knot at the end. And then after that, I added the charms. I just cut twine to a certain length and just tied it around the string that was already on there. And then you used a wrap to tie over the twine just to kind of hide it there and give it a nice little touch. And then my broom was done. I was very happy with it. I put it on my mantle. I also had so much left over that I ended up creating a little tiny broom. I think I had like the stem of the rose that I put some of the orange bristles on, and I used the twine that was left over and made a little tiny broom, which I didn't show in the video, and I should have. Now to the Coraline piece that I actually really liked. I was very happy with how this one came out. I had a bit of a different process for this one. When I created the clothes, I did a lot less of adding pieces on and a lot more of just sculpting one piece and cutting it and kind of forming it with one piece of clay. With the other one, I had several pieces that I added on to each other, and I just didn't really love the way that turned out. But this one, I kind of made it look like her hands were in her pockets and not just flailing out to the side. And then I started this one off a lot better and had her nose a lot smaller, and I think that's what really made this piece much better than the original, because she does have a little nose, and I think that's important to get right, which I did not get right in the first one. I did the same thing with the hair because I think that turned out well in the other piece, so I repeated that process for this one as well. Hood was probably the most difficult part of this process. The reason why I want to keep creating these is I really want to get the hood process down, because that was difficult to do correctly and get it flat and smooth like I really wanted it to. It still ended up a little lumpy and a little lumpier than I wanted it to be, but I do have some ideas for the next one that I think will make the process a lot easier. watching this video. I hope you liked this video. If you did like this video, please give it a like. And if you like our content, please subscribe. Okay, bye.